Compulsory insurance coverage. We all know we need to carry coverage on our automobiles. Most states require that you do have coverage on your automobile. But does that mean you have coverage for everything? Well, that takes us to this week's case. It involves a real man, last name Solomon. He was living in Maryland, and there his basic business was delivering pizzas, and he delivered pizzas. He was doing this part-time. And unfortunately, he was involved in an accident. When he was involved in an accident, his insurance carrier, Progressive Insurance, said, guess what? Guess what? You are not covered. You're not covered. And the insurance company looked to an exclusion in the policy that's referred to as a business exclusion. It exists in many policies. And it states that if the car is used for delivering any kind of item, such as pizza or food of any kind or anything else, or if it's used in transporting people for hire, that there is no coverage for liability, no coverage for liability. Well, this guy says, wait a second, you know, I've been doing this for a long period of time, and I'm going to be using this car for driving around and delivering pizzas, and I think there should be coverage. And so he sued Progressive looking for coverage. Progressive argued it's a legitimate coverage exclusion. It's found in many policies. It's basically a business exclusion. If you're using your car for business, you don't have coverage. And he argued on the other side of the coin, well, wait a second, here in Maryland we have a compulsory insurance act. It requires that I have coverage in a minimum amount, and therefore you guys, by having this exclusion, are excluding me and are violating the Compulsory Insurance Act. Progressive said, no, that's not true. We are providing a minimum limits policy, but we're just not providing it for business purposes. If you want business coverage, you got to get a commercial policy. Okay, case found its way all the way up to Maryland's highest court. And there the court heard both arguments from Progressive and from the insured, stating that he felt that he should have coverage because of Maryland's Compulsory Automobile Coverage Act. Well, long story short, the court listened to these arguments and found in favor of the insured, found that if Progressive had an exclusion which basically prohibited coverage in violation of the Mandatory Coverage Act for the state, that it was a violation of that mandatory coverage, and therefore the exclusion was invalid. Okay, now this was a case that was decided in Maryland. This exclusion, business exclusion, some people refer to it as the pizza exclusion. It exists in lots of coverages, exists in lots of insurance coverages, automobile insurance coverages. So do all states follow this case that was decided in Maryland? No, all states don't. Now, the majority of states do follow the decision that was made by Maryland, but Michigan, as an example, finds that the pizza exclusion for delivering pizzas is valid, so that somebody delivering pizzas in Michigan is not covered under the liability portion of their automobile policy. Okay, now what do we learn from this? What we learn from this is an important thing, that the business exclusion under many states is considered to be invalid. But as to whether or not it is valid depends upon your specific state and whether or not there has been a case decided which determines whether this business exclusion applies or, as was found in Maryland, does not apply. Very important, something that a lot of people don't consider, but if you're involved in that kind of activity where upon occasion maybe you're working part-time delivering pizzas or delivering other things, you need to make sure your auto policy covers you. All right, we bring you this case, we bring you cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.